Thank you, Chair Degat and Ranking Member Griffith, for having today's subcommittee hearing, and to Acting Assistant Secretary Chang for being with us. Ms. Chang, in order to ensure that the Office of Refugee Resettlement, ORR, provides a safe environment for children in its care, ORR imposes requirements for preventing and addressing potential dangers, including an examination of the background and the qualification of facility employees who have direct contact with the children, and minimum staff-to-child ratios. In March, the Associated Press reported that the Biden administration was, quote, not requiring FBI fingerprint background checks of caregivers at the rapidly expanding network of emergency sites, continuing that alarming child welfare experts who say the waiver compromises safety. In the agency's response to a letter sent by committee Republicans this past spring, HHS noted ORR may waive or modify background check requirements on a facility-to-facility basis. Ms. Chang, has ORR waived or modified background check requirements for any of its facilities since January 20, 2021?
So, Representative, the one that comes to mind most immediately is a state child abuse and neglect registry check for our Carrizo Springs influx site. As you noted, we do waive those requirements on a case-by-case basis. The state simply wasn't able to complete those checks in a timely manner, but I will note that every one of those staff members did a fingerprint FBI criminal background check, as well as the Department of Justice sex offender registry check that every single staff member is required to pass in order to work with our kids.
For any additional facilities, Ms. Chang, were these requirements waived or additionally modified?
So I will have to check, and I'm happy to get back to you, sir, with any details, but I don't have that information at my fingertips.
As Representative Griffith stated earlier, when these children are in our custody, their safety is our responsibility. And I share his concerns that we must make sure that those caring for them are not criminals, have not been associated with criminal activity, or any indication that they should not be around children. In response to the committee's Republicans' April letter, Ms. Chang, HHS notified, quote, staff and volunteers who provide direct care must pass public criminal background checks for deployment at EIS. Can you state, did all staff and all contractors and all volunteers pass background checks before staffing these influx care facilities and emergency intake sites?
So what I can tell you about contract staff and deployed federal employees who do provide direct care have to pass a public criminal background check as well as DOJ sex offender check. We also require that all of our federal deployed employees have up-to-date criminal background checks. That includes a fingerprint check on the FBI's criminal database. I just want to iterate that child safety is absolutely our top priority. We have a zero tolerance for any type of abuse or misconduct, mistreatment of our children. We have trained all of our federal volunteers as well as our contractors about the importance of being vigilant to appropriately report any concerns that they might have about child safety. And we take those issues very seriously and report them as necessary if any concerns exist.
And to that point, have any staff or contractors or volunteers failed background checks after having started to work at any of ORR facilities?
I can't think of any, sir, but I can't say that with any certainty. So I'll have to check our records, and I'm happy to get back to you on that.
These children are quite concerned to all members on this committee. Please do follow up with that. And in my few seconds that are left, in March, President Biden asked federal employees to volunteer to serve in a 4-month detail to ORR. The Trump administration also sought volunteers throughout government to address the surge of migrants in 2019. How is HHS working with OPM to acquire volunteers to assist with unaccompanied children along the border?
So we are working very closely with OPM and all of our interagency partners to help them understand the nature of the mission and the type of volunteers that we are seeking. And we have been really, really grateful to everyone who has stepped up with such a generosity of spirit. We have heard folks talk about how committed they are to the mission and how it's profoundly impacted them because they do come into this work for public service mission-oriented needs, and we're really, really grateful for their sacrifice.
My time has expired. Chair Daggett, I yield.